On Tuesday, we do the Q&A, and we are happy most Tuesdays to be joined by San Antonio Mayor Ron Nirenberg. He joins us now, not the mobile mayor like we had last week. He's actually in place. Mayor, thank you for joining us. I want to talk right off the top about Rosemary Kowalski, who passed away today. She's an icon business-wise, but also just philanthropy-wise. Talk about how you know her and what a loss this is for the city today.
Well, you said it right. You said it right, Steve. I think the word icon gets used somewhat frequently, but there's no one that lived into that word as much as Rosemary Kowalski did in our community over the 100+ years that she was here on Earth. And during that period of time, as a woman small business owner, taking a small catering operation into becoming one of the leading catering companies and event companies of the United States, if not globally, is something substantial. And she used that fortune and knowledge and experience to help her community here in San Antonio constantly. She was a mainstay in just about every event and organization activity to support our community throughout her 100 years. And her name will be synonymous with that kind of philanthropy and community service, and of course, small business prowess. I was proud to call her a friend. I will miss her. She held residence at a table in the corner of Carmelitas on Broadway almost every single day. She was as down to earth a person as you would meet, despite how iconic she was. And she leaves behind a living legacy in the people that she touched, and certainly her children and grandchildren who continue the business, but also continue her spirit and mission within our community.
And she was such a sweet lady, just so very kind anytime that you saw her.
Absolutely.
Thanks for sharing some thoughts about Rosemary. I want to switch gears now to a big development for the city today, the airport, a groundbreaking there, some new renderings of what this new terminal will look like. You and I have talked before about how this new terminal is key to getting more direct flights in and out of San Antonio. What are you hoping in terms of destinations that this actually brings to the city?
Well, the terminal itself is helping us accommodate the capacity that we're already seeing. You know, San Antonio continues to set records in terms of visitor travel. The number of enplanements that we have every single day continues to go up. And those serve not just visitors, but largely local residents and businesses who need to travel efficiently to more places. And we're starting to see that with new nonstop connections. We hope to get news on our DCA flight, the final approvals here very soon. We're transatlantic now. We have more international travel to Central and South America. So for all intents and purposes, air service in San Antonio is booming, and we need to have facilities to accommodate that. But what I love most about this new development, Myra, is the fact that we are not compromising on quality or experience. You know, I've had, and I think a lot of people have had their gripes about San Antonio's airport over the years. Just it's not as you would expect a top 10 American city to have in terms of the quality and capacity of our airport. All that is changing because we allowed ourselves to dream and aspired to have one of the nation's great airports and great airport facilities. We allowed ourselves to believe we deserve a facility that can rival any other terminal in the country. And that's exactly what we're going to build. And it's exciting because we're shovels in the ground. We have a plan. We have financed the plan. These are FAA facilities. So we obviously have great support from the federal government and the Federal Aviation Administration. And we are going to make this a reality. It is finally happening in San Antonio to have a world-class airport.
Do you anticipate, we talked about some routes, do you anticipate airlines having more of a presence in San Antonio? Airlines like Delta and American and United who have a presence here. It's just maybe not as big as they have in other cities.
Not as big as they have in other cities, but that is changing rapidly. In fact, you see the presence of the major legacy carriers, Delta, United, American. They're all expanding their market share here in San Antonio. What that has done is not only increased the connectivity for San Antonio, but it's also driven down prices for airfare. It used to be that there was about a $50 differential for the same flight if you left from Austin compared to San Antonio. It was more expensive to leave from here than it was in Austin. That's no longer the case. It's a less than $2 differential at this point. And so it's comparable because we have more competition for the San Antonio traveler now. More airlines are competing for flights. And as the market share continues to go up, as we continue to have San Antonio residents travel around the country and around the world and create more demand for airlines to have service, we're going to continue to see the connectivity grow. So it's not only going to get more competitive and more cost effective for San Antonians to travel by air through SAT, they're going to have a lot more options in the future as well.
Let's talk about a perhaps lesser known mode of transportation, horse-drawn carriages in downtown San Antonio. This has been a hot button issue for the city for quite a while now. A vote is coming up in just a couple days on whether to keep those within the city or to get rid of them. If this ban were to pass, what's the next step? When would those carriages disappear?
Sure. And, I've long made my feelings known for a few years now, and San Antonio City Council will finally be voting to remove horse-drawn carriages from downtown, which I think, again, it's novelty and it's amusement, but, our downtown streets are increasingly challenging when we have more activity. And so I've been one that says those horse-drawn carriages are better elsewhere. And so we will be voting to remove horse-drawn carriages from the main streets of downtown this week. Whether or not council does that, I can't tell you because it is a very controversial issue. But how that would happen is that it has been proposed by city staff to have a 3-year phase out. So over the course of the 3 years, these horse-drawn carriages will transition out. New horses will not be permitted, and as horses are retired, they won't be replaced. And so it'll be a slow transition out. We're going to provide assistance to all of those operators and to the business owners. There's a couple of businesses that are operating these horse-drawn carriages, and we're going to try to do everything we can to be helpful and cooperative and collaborative with these business owners to make sure it's a transition that also doesn't hurt them economically. Obviously, there's going to be impact, and we can never totally eliminate the impact. But I think big picture, we want to work with the horse-drawn carriage owners and operators to make sure it's a just and efficient, smooth transition over the next 3 years.
Do you anticipate them moving to a different part of the city, moving to a different area to have these horse-drawn carriages?
I've offered those suggestions, but it doesn't seem like that's part of the conversation or a willing part of the negotiation at this point. But I am always open. I believe that these these operators and the owners of these horses care a lot for the animals. They treat them like family. They treat them very well, and we have ordinances to ensure that the horses aren't out in extreme heat, et cetera. The issue is transportation and mobility for me. And so if horse-drawn carriages can operate in areas that are more conducive to that kind of amusement transport, such as perhaps the new Alamo grounds that are being redeveloped, maybe it has been suggested around Brackenridge Park, those areas that have dirt roadways that are more conducive to that kind of non-traditional vehicular traffic, I would certainly be open to that. But it's the downtown main arteries that we're talking about that I think are the most problematic.
Okay, we'll see what happens with that vote in just a couple of days. Mayor, thanks for your time.
Thanks, y'all. Have a great night. Stay warm, everybody.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.